This is like what would happen if you took Enter the Dragon and combined it with the Terminator. Now, that was one of the best ways I think I've ever heard the Mortal Kombat series described, no matter what iteration of it is. And that was actually what was said to Midway when they were previewing the Mortal Kombat game at some sort of expo demo affair. Someone actually walked up to them who was from a movie industry and said, "This is really how I feel. It is the Terminator crossed with Enter the Dragon, and we can make millions off of this. I could get you a distribution deal, blah, blah, blah." And they basically looked at him and said, "You're fucking crazy. No one would ever see a movie for this." Now, it's something that's really hard to imagine in this time frame, but here we are today with our third official Mortal Kombat movie, not counting any of the strange oddities that were released on the internet or late night television or whatever the hell that shit was when they were just in their struggling phase after MK4. This is actually the real deal. This delivered as much as the 95 movie, and without being in my fanboy feelings, the movie we were presented wasn't good. It wasn't great. I wanted to give it a 6.5, but after letting go with some of my fanboy thoughts, I think a 7 is really where it's at. And I'm going to put it to you in these ways and why I think it's a 7. More or less, the characters were there. Everybody that we needed to see or wanted to see for the first movie was there, and everybody that we didn't get to see we know is coming because we saw the little Easter eggs in the back. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but there's some really cool Easter eggs that show, they're acknowledging a lot of this. We had Sub-Zero, who was absolutely the badass he was supposed to be in the first game, because those of you who don't know, Sub-Zero in the first game is not the same as every Sub-Zero after the fact, and that's a story that I'm not going to spoil for you either. But he plays a ruthless assassin like he's supposed to. He's vicious, totally cold-hearted, no pun intended. You have Scorpion. Guy does a great job. Scorpion, all the fan service is there, both in the living and dead iterations of him. I can't argue about that. Kano was good. Kano was absolutely the comedic relief of the movie, which is a little strange, because if you remember the 1995 movie, Kano was just terrifying. He was probably one of the scariest characters in that movie that wasn't Shang Tsung or Goro or somebody higher ranking like that. This Kano, a little bit more slapsticky, but still cussing out the mouth, all sorts of insanity leaving him. Totally unpredictable, but again, a little too slapsticky, but he's an evil asshole like he's supposed to be. You had Sonya Blade, who was her, I guess, Special Forces character. I'm starting to see why Kano and Sonya were the least played characters in MK1, and that's why they weren't in the second game, because they don't really have that much of an interesting backstory behind them with this whole feud they have behind one another. They're just starting the feud in this movie, whereas it was being picked up in the 95 movie, so it's kind of interesting to see that take on it. It's something you got to see to believe. You have the guy who plays Cole, who I'm just gonna kind of say was unnecessary and not needed for the movie. His whole tie-in to the series, while cool, is just we just didn't need him. He was a complete waste of time. Cool, but just a waste of time. That's the only way I can say about that. You have Liu Kang, who is, of course, the golden boy of the series. The guy who always wins, playing more of a mentor role to your Sonya Blade and your Kano, trying to help them discover themselves and their powers and abilities, which is a strange thing we'll touch on later. And there's also Kung Lao, who is actually less boisterous and hot-headed as he is in the series, and much different in this movie, a bit more wiser and knowledgeable. So they're putting their own spin on these characters, and if you follow the MK lore, at first it's a little bit hard to swallow, but you roll with it. The villains were cool. You had, I know we all saw Reptile, we saw Shang Tsung, we saw Goro. All those guys pretty much stand and deliver. Shang Tsung, I feel bad for that actor. He had some big shoes to fill with the first actor, just knocking it out the park in 95. But this guy he held his own in his own way. He's still an evil sorcerer asshole, and totally someone you should fear. Of course, there's Lord Raiden, who was a little more subtle than I expected. His outfit very, toned down, kind of like Sub-Zero's toned down, more of an armorish. Very powerful still, protects the Earth realm. Did his thing. The characters were really well-rounded. There were some randoms in there like Rico. Like, who the fuck cares about Rico from MK4? They didn't even know what to do with him. But anyway, he gets his, honorable death. Everybody's there. Everybody has their part on the Earth realm thing so far. Johnny Cage wasn't there, but that's something I'm not going to spoil about because, that's something that you don't have to worry about if you watch the movie towards the end. From there, there's also the concept of the actual presentation. I want to say the movie in and of itself, how it was presented. It kind of had a little bit of like a R-rated Marvel flair to it, like the way the fatalities were. The fight scenes were just primo. I mean, everything about the fight scenes and the presentation of them, the choreography, was absolutely amazing. Those guys can really fight. I don't care if it's stunt doubles or not. That was some great fighting. Great reversals, all sorts of cool stuff. We get the fatalities in there, which are really great. The storyline itself centers around more or less a cheating version of Mortal Kombat 2 storyline without getting too into it. They're kind of taking the MK1 and MK2 storyline and bridging them together instead of making them a separate movie, which is really something interesting. I just don't want to spoil it for anybody, but you just got to roll with it. And that brings me to the presentation of the movie that we're at, but I also want to talk about it for all the fanboys out there. Expect to see differences, expect to see changes. You know, the initial shock of the movie, I had to watch it twice. The initial shock of the movie was a little bit daunting at first. I was like, this is a little cheesy and, you know, corny almost. But then as I grew onto it, I realized that's the only way this movie could be, because that's the only way something this could be taken, is, again, it's like Terminator meets Enter the Dragon. How serious can you take the concept of that? And for what it's worth, pretty seriously, but not too seriously. Like I said, it has a Marvel-esque type of vibe to it, like almost like superhero fight scenes when they start using their superpowers versus more of the subtle close camera type of affair. A lot of wide angle shots, a lot of cool pans and stuff like that. There's a character in there that flies. You know, how they portray her is really well done. But overall, I gotta say, it was a great movie. I had a lot of fun. They didn't really disappoint. They didn't do everything I wanted, but I guess given the fact I've been a fan of the series since I was 7 and it came out in the 90s, I couldn't expect that. Also, one thing I gotta say is this movie makes the idea of a sequel look fantastic. I think the sequel is gonna stand and deliver. We're gonna get a lot of the shortcomings, so to speak, of people we didn't see, people we know were in the series. There's a lot of consideration to go into this being a story building movie versus a storytelling movie, as in the next movie will be more based. It's just, like I said, it wasn't amazing. It was good. It was a solid 7. It wasn't great, it was just good. And I really recommend you guys check it out for yourselves and draw your own conclusions, and, you know, tell me again, you know, in the comments what you liked and what you didn't like in the bottom. This was a movie that a lot of us were waiting for. We got pushed back to COVID. It really sucked. I remember how excited I was when I saw that they stopped filming and it meant they were going to go to editing. So luckily they got the filming in before COVID, and now with COVID dying down, it seems like we're really going to get back a solid series in this. And with Kong vs. Godzilla, my other favorite movie series, basically ending the MonsterVerse, it's really refreshing to know that this is going to continue a brand new universe of something that I want to say I'm even more excited than the Godzilla universe for. Because this movie and this video game series was owed such an awesome live action adaptation for such a long time, especially after the fuckery of Annihilation. We all remember that movie. It was so bad, it was horrible. But this is good. Cheesy, action, violence, good. Totally an awesome movie. You can take anybody to see it. They know what Mortal Kombat is. It's not even a question of if they're going to like it. It's a matter of how they're going to feel about it and how much they do like it. Again, leaving your fanboy feelings aside, you can't go wrong with this movie. Some things I wish were different, but everything that was there was still solid enough that I can't be that mad. So listen, guys, if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making fun content like this. I am currently sitting in front of a 10-foot by 20-foot green screen trying to make stupid content, and this was a lot of fun, and I want to keep doing this for you guys. I don't want to just be known as the video game streamer. I want to be known as a content creator for my community. So again, if you want to, you know, leave a comment, tell me what you didn't like about the movie, tell me what you did like about the movie, tell me why this video sucks. I'm always open to input. More importantly, make sure you like and follow on here on YouTube, ILLSVN4K. Make sure you check me out on Twitch for my streams at ILLSVN4K, Instagram ILLSVN4K, Twitter ILLSVN4K. It means a lot to me, guys, all the support in the world. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the review, and take care, and I look forward to talking about the next topic with you. Take care.